All right, don't be overwhelmed by everything we've done up to this point. We've acquired some artwork, we've made some separations, printed them out on film positives, we've coated our screens, and we've burned our screens, and now we're ready to set up our first job. What you want to do is you want to make sure to have some type of a registration system to make it easy for you to put your screens on press square. What I do is I take my handy marker and a T-square and I actually square it to one of these boards, because when a shirt is loaded onto this press, it will be square to this board. So we want to set up the image square to this board. So I'm just going to quickly lay out some guidelines. Few horizontal, few vertical. All right, now we're going to take our first screen. We're going to print this as a one-color print, but this is actually the first color of our, or the first screen of our four-color job as well. All right, I'm going to loosely clamp it in the press. Now, before you set up anything here, you need to make sure that your head of your press is centered. You want to loosen your micros and make sure that your micros are centered so that if you have to go one way or another, you're not already maxed out, unable to go any further. Now, we're going to look through the screen to our registration guide board, and I'm going to just look at some various areas and line my design up based off of the image and my lines on my shirt board. Clamp it down, and then you want to check for your off contact. Now, as you push on the screen, there should be some deflection. We have way too much off contact here. Typically, your off contact should only be about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. This is the off contact adjustment for this press. All right, that's locked in. And bring your head up. Now we're going to need a shirt. A shirt is a good thing to do a test on. And the reason is because this is what we're going to be printing on later. If you were to print on, say, paper, it would smear around and could give us double imaging later. Oh, no spray adhesive on this board. Very important to use spray adhesive. Now I prefer a web-based spray adhesive. With a web-based adhesive, as you can see, it stayed together as particles. A mist-based spray adhesive puts a lot in the air and you end up breathing it. Now when you load a shirt, you take it by the tail and you roll it so that this is the inside of the garment here. If there's excess ink on our shirt board, it'll drag across and catch on the inside where the customer won't see it. It won't affect the outside of the garment. Now you pull it all the way on until it's taut up here, centering. Typically there's a center line, but if there's not, you kind of have to look at the grain of the shirt. Centering it to the rear of the press. Then you pick up by the sleeves, draw it out to about 1 inch to 2 inches here, gently lay it down and give it a very light rub. Now bring your screen down, and we're going to ink up the screen. Now you don't want to get too crazy with ink. It's really easy to overload your screen with ink, and that'll get too messy. So that's enough to get started with. Once we get into real production, we might load it up a little bit more. Now up to this point, we haven't really talked about the squeegee in depth. This is the tool that we all use to push the ink through the screen. Now if you're on an automatic press, it'll look a little bit different so that it could be clamped into a press. This is a manual squeegee. The hardness of the blade is measured in durometers. Now this squeegee right here, you might notice, is one solid color all the way through. While this squeegee here, you can see 3 layers of color. You can see 2 softer layers of squeegee material. It's a urethane rubber with a much harder layer in the middle to give the squeegee some rigidity but keeping a softer printing edge to allow a little more ink through the screen. We're going to go ahead and use this squeegee right here. You want a sharp-edged squeegee, not a rounded-edge squeegee. Now you're going to take it and just kind of get some ink on the blade. You want the blade of the squeegee to be at a 45-degree angle to the screen. Apply even pressure. Draw it across the screen, and then kind of tear it off like scissors. Bring it back and lift your screen. Now, it looks a little light in areas because that was the first time ink had gone through this screen. Once you've made a few prints, the ink will flow a little better. Now, because of the registration system, if it is a little light, it's okay to bring it back down and make another print because everything should be kept in perfect registration. All right, now once we've made our first print, we need to analyze it and make sure that we don't have too many pinholes, make sure that the print is square to the shirt. Let's take a look at that. These are our pinholes, areas where ink has passed through the screen that we don't want it to. Now, these could be cleaned off later with a spotting gun, but it's much easier to take care of them now. We're just going to use a small piece of masking tape wherever we see a pinhole and cover it on the screen. This is more of a temporary solution, and if you're printing more than several thousand shirts, you'd probably want to use blockout from this. Nail polish might work. You also make a blockout pen, which is full of the blockout I showed earlier, that you can just take and get right on your screen there. This will take a few minutes to dry, so while this is drying, I'll get some of my other screens ready. All right, here we have the yellow screen. It's been fully taped off. We're going to put this in this press so that we'll be printing in a clockwise fashion. Now, I could just bring this down and register to this wet, but I could get a little bit of ink on the bottom of the screen. One thing that you could do is you could take your flash cure unit and you could give it a quick cure. That way it won't pick up. There's another way too, which I find pretty handy because you can wipe off the ink over and over in case you need to make minor adjustments. And that is, you just take packing tape and you cover the whole print. This gives us a layer of plastic to print on, which the Plastisol ink will not adhere to. Now we're going to take the yellow screen, we're going to bring it down over our print. Now as you can see, where ink will be passing through the screen, it's quite apparent compared to the underlying black. So I'm going to use one corner to the other and see if it looks like it's in registration. Once I feel comfortable with that, I'll lock it in. Get a little bit of yellow ink. You want to try and use a squeegee that's been used on that color before, because ink can get trapped up into these creases and cause a little bit of blending of your inks later. So this squeegee has been used for yellow before. And I'm going to make a print. Now I can see that I am dead on my registration. I don't have white shirt peeking out between the yellow and black anywhere. And we're ready to move on to the next color. We need to take a rag, and you just simply wipe the previous color off, and now it's ready to register each color. All right, now you can see on this one that it's out of register. If we look at this area right here, we can see where there's white peeking between the ink color and our trap color, the black. So the way we're going to fix that, first we're going to wipe it down. We'll bring the screen back down. Now if there's a lot of ink in the way, you can just do a push stroke and then wipe it down with a dry cloth. And that'll make it open up so that you can see through it again easily. You can also use the micro adjust for this. Make another print to test it. And we're dead on. Now what we didn't talk about yet is the sequence that you should set your screens up in. Screen printing is typically printed from lightest to darkest. The only exception might be is if you have a very small area of, say, red and a very large area of yellow. You might print the red area first and then the yellow. Let's go ahead and make a print. Now you want to leave your registration print on in case after you've made a few prints and things have settled, something shifted. You can come back to this and easily bring it back into registration. Now when you make your first print stroke, there's a variety of strokes that you could use. You could hold it on the side of the squeegee as a side grip, a pulling stroke, and you normally wouldn't print like this simultaneously, but there's also a pushing stroke. You don't want to do that at the same time because when you pull one way, the screen will shift a little bit this way. So you want to be consistent with that stroke throughout your screens. If you're pushing, it'll push the fabric a little bit that way. And so you want to push consistently throughout your screens. I was just giving a little example. And here we have the yellow. A lot of times, the yellow will look very light and people will make a bunch of prints on it because it looks so light. But the reality is that once you get the rest of the colors down, the yellow will look fine. Now the black print is what will really pull it all together. Now you're thinking, that's just a shirt, but your customer is going to say, wow, that's a shirt. Now as you look at this design closely, you'll notice that the shading is actually caused by half-tone dots of one color being laid over half-tone dots of another color. And here we have a shade of one color that makes it look like several colors of ink, but it's really just caused by the effect of half-tone dots. All right, so let's go ahead and dry this print in the dryer. Now you fold the sleeves in and lay it on the dryer. And you want to make sure that it's pretty good and flat, that you don't have any areas popping up very high. They'll brush up against the elements and could cause some burning. You want it to lay nice and flat across the dryer and go ahead and let it go on through. Now as it falls out the other end of the dryer, you're going to catch it in a large box, probably a shirt box. And you want to keep an eye on that because as you're just there printing and printing, not watching it, that stack of finished shirts is building up higher and higher and will eventually start rubbing on the dryer belt and may get snagged, caught in the dryer. Fires can happen. Now once you've made a print, you could dry it in the dryer. If you're a smaller shop, you could also use a flash cure unit. Now this is basically the same heater that there is in the dryer. It's just mounted on wheels and mounted so that it'll stay nice and level to the board. Typically your height is going to be 2 to 4 inches. High enough so that it's not burning the shirt, but low enough so that you're not getting a big airflow coming under there cooling off the edges of your shirt. You're going to bring it over your shirt and you want to use some temperature strips to make sure that you're getting a full cure if you're choosing to use this method. You'd also use the temperature strips with your dryer or the ray gun as Scott showed earlier. So we would assume that's done. About 10 seconds is the average. You might see a little steam coming off the shirt. Those are actually sizings coming off the shirt, not the shirt burning usually. Now you may have noticed that we're not drying the ink between colors. We're actually printing it wet on top of wet. In most cases, that is okay. On a dark shirt though, you may print the color and then flash cure the color and then come back and print it again so that you can get the opacity so that you can really see the color and it won't be washed out by the darkness of the shirt. Now, when you make more prints, you might think, couldn't I just do multiple strokes here? But it's still going to be transparent. You're not building up your ink thickness. There is a downfall to doing too many strokes or using too much pressure. Now, if you look at that, that was one gentle stroke. Our halftone dots here are nice, well-defined. They have an even, smooth pattern over them. Now, just for the sake of demonstration, if you do too many prints and apply too much pressure, you lose all of your detail in your halftone dots here. This is completely closed in and looks like a solid now, and our gradation only goes to about here instead of down into here. Now, you've made a few prints, and you might notice that there's some excess ink on the bottom of the screen. You can take good old cotton t-shirt and just give it a wiping down. You want to watch tape on the bottom of your screen where you've maybe taped some pinholes. As you wipe it down, that can smear ink into the crack around the tape, and the next couple of prints might reveal a little edge of that tape. So you really want to be careful when you're wiping down screens and do a real good deliberate job of it.
Now Mike is talking about how to do a print on a light colored shirt. Let's talk about dark shirts right now. And we're going to talk about the very basics of dark shirt. This is not going to be like the shirt I'm wearing here, which is called simulated process color. This is just going to be a basic 1 and 2 color print. First of all, the ink for the dark shirts is a lot thicker. This is the white ink we're going to use, and the white is typically a little thicker. Not quite as creamy. We want to have the thickness to help cover the garment. We're also going to change our mesh counts somewhat. We're going to go with a low mesh count. If it's a 1 color print on a dark shirt, you could use a 125, you could use a 110, you could use an 86 mesh count. If it's a single color print where you want a heavy print, if it's going to be a base on a dark shirt, meaning where you print white first, cure it, and then print colors on top, you might go to a higher mesh count. But right now our design is this Phoenix Sun design, and basically I did a print of the white screen first. I need to line up both of my screens, so I did this print first. I then flash cured this print with the flash unit. Then I'm going to come back and line up the top color. Now when you do this kind of a print where it's a light white under base and a color on top, your top color is through a higher mesh count. We're going to be on a 280 to a 305 for the top color. We're going to bring the screen down. We can see our print below it, and we can adjust and line the print up. Now you'll also notice we're at a different press. This is what's called a side clamp press. The press Mike was showing you earlier was a rear clamp press. It's really your own preference. A side clamp press is nice if you're using wood frames that are older that maybe require being held on both sides. A rear clamp press works great if it's an aluminum retentionable screen, if it's a rigid aluminum screen, if it's a really well-made screen, rear clamp is fine. If you're doing a lot of athletic printing where you're doing names and numbers and you're trying to put more than one design on one screen and you're trying to move that screen around and lock it down just to print that one name, then a rear clamp press is much easier. A side clamp press gives you a lot less leeway. You're pretty much locked into how much you can move your screen around. Now the problem with printing on a black shirt is if you do 1 or 2 strokes, the print will be okay, but not great. Let me show you what I mean. Even though we're with a thick, high opacity ink, we're going to do a couple strokes. The print's a little gray. Now in today's market that may be acceptable because the customer wants sometimes a distressed print where the print looks like it's been washed and worn. But for the average consumer this is not good enough. It's not bright enough. So in this business what we do is we will do the print of the first color of the color. We'll then flash cure, and we're going to cure it for about 10 seconds. This will dry this ink. Then we're going to print the same exact screen right on top. This is commonly called a print flash print, and it's really wet ink on dry ink. And you'll see an amazing difference between how bright the print looks. Now we'll come back and bring the same screen down, just do 1 stroke on it, and now we have very bright white on this print. So now we have an acceptable one color print on a dark shirt. You know, we get a lot of calls, people saying they're doing fireman shirts and they're trying to use, you know, 86 mesh and 4 or 5 strokes and can't quite get the coverage. And you know, the realities are for this print, we're actually on around a 200 mesh for the underbase, because if we do a print flash print, we're going to lay enough ink down to get a nice bright print, but it's going to be a soft print. So we've got a great looking print. We're going to come back and flash it one more time. Now, if you're thinking that in the real world it's going to be a lot of waiting for your flash unit, when you're looking to buy a press, you want to get a press that has multiple stations, and preferably a press that has stations that move. If the stations move, you could put your flash unit over there, and when you're done making the print, you can then rotate. It's going to go under the flash unit while you're doing your next shirt, and so it's going to kind of go around, and so you're still printing while the One thing we didn't cover was the marketing side. The marketing side for many of you will be the hard part. Making a print on a shirt and printing a screen, you'll discover after you've done it a few times is no big deal. It's repeat, repeat, repeat. But getting out and actually calling on a customer and making the call and walking in the door and saying, hey, I'm here to sell you a product, and having them say no, don't come back, and that rejection, that'll be hard for many of you. And so we do have good video DVDs on marketing, and you want to look at those. You want to get books on marketing. There's a great book called Guerrilla Marketing that really shows you how to market on a shoestring. And so marketing will be the hardest part for you. You want to have good business cards, good letterhead. You know, if somebody hands you a business card that's been cut out with scissors, and I've actually gotten them like this, it tells you a lot about their company. It tells you that they're not very permanent and they're not very into quality. If someone gives you a cover letter that has all kinds of typos and misspellings, it tells you a lot about what they'll do when you give them an order. Will they have typos on the shirts? Will they have sloppy prints? It tells you a lot about the company. So just sit back on the marketing side and look at stuff you get. Look at how you perceive other companies. Your goal is to have the customer perceive that you're professional, that you're maybe bigger than you are. You and I might know that you're working out of a bedroom, if that's where you're working out of, or a small garage. Your customer doesn't have to know that. Your customer is going to see the printed shirts and the catalog. Now, your shirt supplier will supply you with what's called generic catalogs that you can print your name on. It'll make you look like a large company. So for many of you, marketing is where you want to focus once you learn how to print a shirt.
Gary Brown with Surf and Ski. How long have you been in business?
35 years.
And you have how many screens upstairs?
12,000.
That's a lot of screens.
Yes, it is.
You mind if we take a look around your shop and show people how?
It's all yours.
Thank you much.
You betcha.
Thanks for watching our DVD on Getting Started. I hope that when you start your business, you can really take it far. We love to hear success stories, and we hear them all the time. So if you get out there and you make $1 million, please let us know.
Thanks a lot. Perfect, perfect. All right. Hey, my name is Scott Fresner.
I'm Mike Fresner.
We're with the U.S. Screen Printing Institute.
And we're going to pump.
Hi, I'm Scott Fresner, the president of the U.S. Screen Printing Institute.
I'm Mike Fresner, but that was... What are you tapping over here?
Okay, are we centered? We look okay?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Are we rolling? I'll do Mike's roll.
Blah.com. Blah, 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 blah.
No, t-shirts.
Blah, blah.
Okay, you.
All right, now, don't be...
Before I talk to you about how to use Corel Draw and how to use Photoshop and show you the basics of using these. More time.
Okay.
The only thing you got to follow along is I'm going to say, hi, I'm Scott Fresner. And we're going to do a little opening here. You just have to say, I'm Mike Fresner. And then you have to jump in with what we're going to. Go. All right. Cool, cool, very nice. We should have done that. That would be okay. Really.
Throw it on the dryer.
All right. You just have to pull back right away when after he makes the print. That's good. That's good. I like that. I like that idea. That's very nice, Mike. I'm serious now. Really. I didn't think it's corny.
I do.
Not corny at all.
U.S. Graphic Arts has been a world leader in screen printing and graphic training for over 20 years. We offer a complete line of training videos and software that will help you keep productive and prosperous. The U.S. Screen Printing Institute has taught over 12,000 people how to print t-shirts and offers great products like Fast Films, Fast Grip, Fast Art, Fast Pause, how to print t-shirts for fun and profit, and too many video titles to list. For more information on graphic arts, screen printing, or our products, visit us online at www.screenprinters.net.
Hi, I'm Scott Fresner, president of the U.S. Screen Printing Institute. I'd like to show you the power of the industry's #1 automated separation program, Fast Films. Fast Films is an Adobe Photoshop plugin that completely automates doing color separations for t-shirt screen printing. What would normally take many hours or even days without Fast Films can now be done with the click of a button in under 5 minutes. Fast Films was first introduced in 1998 and is based on my over 30 years experience in this business. It's a very mature and stable program. In the past, I've taught most of the major printers like Disney, World Wrestling, and others how to do high-end color separations. And now I've put all that knowledge into a software package. It's like having me at your desktop doing the separations for you. If you want to print high-end images like these on light and dark shirts, you need Fast Films. Fast Films not only color separates, but it tells you what mesh count to use, what halftone angle, what halftone line count, what inks to use, and how to print the image. It takes all the guesswork out of doing high-end printing. It creates stunning t-shirt graphics, whether you're using a 6-color manual press or using a 14-color automatic press. Let's take a look at how Fast Films works. Fast Films is a plugin that works in Photoshop 4.0 or higher and works on both Mac or Windows PC platforms. It does not work in Corel Draw, but you can create images in Corel, Illustrator, or freehand and export them into Photoshop for color separating in Fast Films. Fast Films also works with customer-supplied images, including their web graphics, photographs, or images you can scan and create in layers in Photoshop. In fact, Fast Films is so easy to use, you simply scan, separate, and output film. Fast Films works in the Actions palette in Photoshop. Fast Films is actually a suite of 6 programs in one. It gives you the flexibility of running separations a variety of ways. Fast Films creates separations for traditional CMYK process color, including underbases, spot colors, and adjustments for industry-specific ink brands. Typically, you wouldn't print CMYK on dark shirts because the ink is too transparent. For this reason, we print what is known as simulated process color on darks. The image looks like CMYK, but is in fact lemon yellow, scarlet red, royal blue, black, and other colors. These images are made up of halftone dots and also work very well on light shirts.
The majority of photorealistic images you see on black shirts are printed as simulated process color. Fast Films also creates special separations called index color. Index separations are made up of small square dots that are all the same size. Index separations are great for images that need high contrast or where you are not trying to match an original. Many of the surf shirts you see are index color. Fast Films also does a very effective old photo sepia tone routine for light and dark shirts. It also does hot split heat transfer separations and is being used by many of the large transfer printers. Fast Films even does basic spot color images, including choking, trapping, and creating underbases. Finally, Fast Films helps with art preparation by giving an image a variety of edge effects. And it will make the image look washed and worn with its distress look. Fast Films takes an RGB file and creates channel separations that can be output. Let's run a simulated process 5-color plus 2 white routine. You simply click a button and the program starts to separate. Fast Films has many prompt and help menus to guide you through the process. It will ask you to open the file you want to separate. It analyzes the image, creates an underbase and highlight white for dark shirts, adjusts for dot gain, determines the correct print sequence, and goes through over 300 complex calculations to create very accurate color separations that work on light and dark shirts. Most separations can be done in less than 2 minutes. When the color separations are done, you'll be told the proper mesh to use, how to output your films, and what halftone line count and angle to use. The manual also explains how to coat your screens properly, and how to expose and develop halftone dots. Fast Films helps you become a better printer. Fast Films color separations use standard off-the-shelf Plastisol ink colors such as lemon yellow, scarlet red, royal blue, black, and others. It also gives you the Pantone equivalent number. You can use any brand of ink with the program. Let's look at the finished separations. Fast Films creates individual channels for each color to be printed. The routine we ran gave us 7 separations. Since you don't print black ink on a black shirt and you don't need 2 whites on a light shirt, the final separations will work as a 6-color image on a light or dark shirt. It also creates a channel called shirt color. Here is the image on a black shirt. By placing the Photoshop eye next to each channel, we can make the channel visible. Unlike other programs, Fast Films has been calibrated to preview on the monitor very close to how it will actually screen print. The program has told Photoshop the actual ink opacity of Plastisol, and it displays the image with dot gain turned on, so it simulates how the image will look on the shirt. Fast Film separations are very accurate, but since we are trying to recreate images made up of thousands of colors with just a few off-the-shelf ink colors, images may need minor adjustments after the separations are run. If you want to boost or reduce the amount of a particular color, you can easily select the channel you want to change and then apply a tone curve adjustment. Fast Films does a great job of creating lifelike flesh tones. It has an optional flesh and brown routine that gives you additional plates that help improve the look of flesh. You can also print out a very accurate paper proof to show the customer. The proof is of the actual separations. Once you're happy with how the separations look, you can simply output directly from Photoshop. You can also export the file as a DCS2 image that can be opened in Freehand, Corel, or Illustrator for output or additional graphic elements. Fast Films also allows you to run more colors. You can run the 9-color simulated routine and then simply eliminate colors you don't need. This Guatemala image was run as a 9-color plus 2 whites. We can eliminate the gray and brown channels because they are not that important. We can also combine the purple channel with the red and delete the purple channel. To get the image down to 6 colors, we could even combine the blue channels. You can also change the shirt color channel and preview how the image will look on different shirt backgrounds.
I think by now you can see the power of the program. If you're new to the business, what we just showed you doesn't seem like magic, but if you've been around for a while, you know that we just showed you magic. What we commonly hear from users is a big thank you, and then that we took you to a new level. We took you from doing basic spot color designs to doing much better photorealistic images on light and dark shirts. You're taking jobs now that you would have turned down in the past. Actually, high-end printing on light and dark shirts isn't that hard because it's all in the separations. Let me show you what I mean. For all the dark shirts we've shown you in this DVD, they have one underbase. So you print the underbase, flash cure, and all the prints only have one flash cure. So the printing is actually quite easy. In fact, all the underbases are on 200 to 230 mesh, which would be 77 to 90 mesh in centimeters, and the top colors are all on 305s, which would be 120 in centimeters. And the top colors are all just all-purpose plastisol, and you print them wet ink on wet ink. And then the real secret is the highlight white, the last color down, which is a highlight white. The secret to high-end printing is in the separations, and fast films is your secret weapon to getting ahead of the competition.
Here's what you get with Fast Films. You get free lifetime support. You can call us, fax us, send email, and there's a private users arena on the web just for registered users. You get free lifetime upgrades also. You get a 2-hour training video. We know that most of you know Corel or Illustrator, but not Photoshop. Most of the video is on how to use Photoshop. You also get a quick start printed manual, and you get a 60-page manual on the CD in a PDF file. You get a reference sheet showing all the key points and the ink colors. And you're eligible to enter the internationally recognized Fast Films Terrific T-shirt contest, with winners featured in trade magazines from around the world. We now have over 2,700 users in 70 countries. And the program is in English, Spanish, German, Portuguese, and French. Remember, there are other programs on the market doing automatic separations, but only Fast Films does 6 different types of separations. And when we offer lifetime support and lifetime upgrades, we'll be around to give those to you. The U.S. Screen Printing Institute was established in 1979. You know who we are, and you know that we provide products that work.
I know there are a lot of other automated separation programs on the market, but keep in mind that the other programs only do one thing. Some only do index separations, others only do simulated process. Some are less money, but frankly, none of these programs work as well or have the features of Fast Films, and you do not save money if it takes hours and hours of tweaking to get the other programs to work. I think you should buy software like this from someone you know and trust. I'm a member of the Adobe Developers Network. I've been in the industry since 1970, and my company, the U.S. Screen Printing Institute, was founded in 1979. We're going to be around to give you free upgrades, free support, and I have taught most of the world's largest printers how to separate and print. For more information, talk to one of our sales staff or go to www.screenprinters.net, the industry's largest website. Thanks for watching. Hi, my name is Scott Fresner with the U.S. Screen Printing Institute. I'd like to thank you for using my latest program called Fast Manager. Fast Manager is a shop management program. I like to say, do you know where your shop is tonight? Because in many cases you have no idea what your shop is doing. You're looking for reorders, you're looking to see what the customer ordered last time, you're trying to see who owes you money, you're trying to invoice customers, and you're using kind of the paper system of doing this, which is very common. Fast Manager allows you to get control of your business. It allows you to track orders, to enter work orders, to keep track of the last job, keep track of what inks you use on the job, to schedule jobs, to keep track of who owes you money, to track payables. It's a very strong program. This program is for large and small shops, and I think is very easy to use. One of my hottest new products is called FastRip. FastRip is a raster image processor that allows you to print near image setter quality films from an inexpensive inkjet printer like the Epson 3000. FastRip is a PostScript interpreter that tells an inkjet printer how to print halftone dots and very dense black images on clear film. And since the inkjet printers don't use heat, the films are always in perfect registration. You can print up to 17 by 22 inch or 43 by 56 centimeters on the Epson 3000, and the Epson 3000 is less than $1,000 US.
You don't need fast films to use FastRip. FastRip will print from Corel, Illustrator, Quark, Freehand, and other programs. It's very transparent. You simply print as you normally would. If you're struggling with burning screens from out of register and weak laser print output, you'll love FastRip. If you've discovered that your normal inkjet just doesn't do halftone dots or very dark black, FastRip is the missing link. FastRip works on both Mac or PC platforms. For the best prints, use our specially coated Fast Positive film. Fast Positive is a very stable, clear film with an anti-curl backing and an extremely smooth surface for better image definition. It's superior to all other films on the market. Fast Positive is available in a wide variety of sizes, including international sizes of A3 and A4, and on rolls. We also offer royalty-free artwork called FastArt on CD or downloadable images from the internet. Now you can create stunning images with limited art talent. FastEffects is a Photoshop plugin that does great text effects, edge effects, backgrounds, and does separations for lenticular latent image prints.